All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for joining us. My name is Colin Welker. I'm a Prevention and Policy Coordinator here at the American Indian Cancer Foundation, and I'm excited to share with you our newest resource entitled Ordering Nutritious and Indigenous Foods, and it's a guidelines and checklist. This is going to be a short 15-minute webinar that outlines and details how to use the checklist. So we just want you to become familiar with how to use it and then understand how the checklist can begin to normalize healthy eating in your respective communities. So some of you may have received a copy of it. This is the cover of the new resource. And the first section here is the guidelines for food and beverages. But before we go ahead and get started, I just want to acknowledge some of our partners that helped make this resource possible. So the first is Stacy Hammer. She's a registered dietitian at the Lower Sioux Indian community, and Julie Ralston Aoki was provided legal aid from the Mitchell-Hamlin School of Law. So we're going to start out here with section number 1, guidelines for food and beverages. So if you open up the resource, the first page, you'll be met with these just general and pretty generic guidelines. So here you'll see some different things highlighted. We wanted to make it easy for people to communicate with caterers and vendors who are ordering food. So as you can see listed, for example, a guideline or recommendation is to avoid foods that are filled with trans fats. So that's things with hydrogenated or partially hydrogenated oils. Things like processed foods, ready-to-eat foods like chips, or packaged foods like that. Another recommendation we had in this section I wanted to highlight was just cooking methods. So when you're talking to a chef or a caterer, try to use words like roasting, boiling, steaming, poaching, and avoid things like deep frying, grilling, etc. And of course, when possible, choose local and indigenous foods. The next page opens up, and you open up the resource, is serving guidelines and checklists. It covers everything from serving size, portion size, to food preparation, kind of like we just highlighted. As you can see, the guideline is on the left and the checklist is on the right. For example, if you're looking for guidance on desserts, look for the corresponding section. So if you look through this list, you can see the dessert section is down towards the bottom. So the guideline reads something like, ensure dessert dimensions are not larger than 2 inches by 2 inches. Choose fresh fruit for half or more of the dessert, and then choose desserts that are 100 calories or less. So after you're done ordering that, if that's something you're providing at a meeting, gathering, or event, you can go ahead and check that off on the list. We wanted to make it easy for everyone to be able to use. So we're just going to look at another quick example in the guidelines and checklist. So this one, again, the guideline is on the left and the checklist portion is on the right. So this one could be a good conversation piece. If providing soup, request low sodium broth-based option. So a lot of times soups that are often served are high in sodium and high in fat, which is hidden in that cream that makes a creamy based soup. So again, just a way to talk to a food provider about limiting the calories, sodium, and fat is by requesting low sodium and a broth-based option. Another one to talk about with a food provider is when providing bread, is requesting whole grain options. And a bread that doesn't have added sugar. Sometimes those are snuck in there. So whole grain is healthier than whole wheat, and it contains the whole grain product. So then moving along on the next page is the healthy beverage guidelines and checklist. So again, similarly set up, easy to use. So the guideline may be always providing unsweetened water as an option. So that can be sparkling water, fruit-infused water, but just avoiding water that contains any calories. Of course, we like to promote not serving, sugary sweetened beverages, and then choosing 8 ounces for the serving size for beverages that contain calories. So the next section is, we know that snacks and food become part of a lot of programming, and we recognize that. So we compiled this list of better for you options and then some snacks to maybe avoid. So for example, choose indigenous selections when you can. So of course this may look different across the country, but some examples are bison jerky, ground cherries, puffed wild rice. And then also keeping in mind to choose unsalted, low sugar, and low fat options in those better for you option categories, while also avoiding things like donuts, cookies, chips, things that are going to be, again, fried, high in fat, or high in sugar content. So this resource was developed, again, to help normalize healthy foods in the workplace and in the community setting. But we just wanted to touch a little bit about why maybe a health food policy, or how this could influence a healthy foods policy at a workplace. So a lot of people on this webinar or listening are in a unique position to be a champion for change around policy, systems, and environment changes in their communities. So if we look at the healthy foods in the workplace, here's why. So employees often eat 1 or more meals at work. It's easy access to healthy foods at work encourages healthier eating. If that's what's being provided, healthier eating is going to take place. And then developing policies for healthy meetings and events, like community events, makes healthy choices more widely available, and again, starts to normalize healthy eating. We know healthy eating plays an important role in chronic disease prevention, and we ultimately want to see a world where our communities are free from the burdens of cancer. So another little slide about healthy eating in the workplace. So endorsing a healthy foods policy in the workplace will help facilitate a healthier work environment and could result in things like higher work productivity, fewer sick days, reduced healthcare costs for the organization, and then also ultimately leads to a supportive environment to adopt healthier lifestyles for staff and ultimately their families as well. So that's just a quick run through of the resource. It's only 4 pages long. But we want to just do a quick quiz, an interactive quiz. So we're going to do that next. I'm going to stop sharing the screen. But if you want to go to kahoot.it, it's spelled KAHOOT.IT on your phone. We will continue there. I will give me 1 second and I will share the screen. So kahoot.it. Share screen again, right? All right. So if you're not familiar with Kahoot, again, you just use your cell phone. You can even use your computer if you want. But we're going to go ahead to kahoot.it. So KAHOOT.IT. And you're going to enter the game pin, which is 335010. After that, you'll be prompted to enter your name. You can put your initials or a nickname or something like that. So kahoot.it, KAHOOT.IT on your cell phone. Great, I'm seeing some people join. We'll wait a couple more seconds for others to join. What's going to happen is the question will appear on the screen. There's some true and false and multiple choice. And then you're going to respond on your phone using the coordinating shape and color. We'll wait a couple more seconds. Okay, I think we're going to go ahead and get started. Thanks for everyone for joining. So get ready to respond on your cell phone. So the guidelines were developed to normalize healthy and indigenous foods in American Indian, Alaska Native communities. True or false? Great. So that's how it works. Just an easy one to get started here. We're going to go ahead to the next question. Which cooking method is not recommended? Baking, deep frying, steaming, or roasting? Great. Deep frying is not a recommended cooking method. If providing soup, you should request low sodium and broth based. True or false? Great. I know these are pretty easy, but I just wanted to make sure everyone understood just kind of how the guidelines and checklist worked. Calorie-containing beverages should be limited to 16-ounce serving size. True or false? So calorie-containing beverages, our recommendation is if they do contain calories, they should be 8 ounces or less. Last question. Adopting a healthy foods policy in the workplace will do all of the following except increase work productivity, reduce healthcare costs, or increase the number of sick days. So this one, a little tricky, but hopefully and ultimately, by implementing or adopting a healthy foods policy in the workplace, it will lead to a decrease in the number of sick days for employees while increasing work productivity and reducing healthcare costs for the organization. So thank you everyone for playing that quick game. We are going to just thank you for taking the time to hear about AICAF's newest resource. If you would like a copy of the resource or additional copies, you can email me at cwelker@aicaf.org. Also, please look out for a follow-up survey that you will get via email after the completion of the webinar. Thank you for attending, and I hope you learned something. Have a good day.